Let's talk about JavaScript. I'd like to solve that problem with you. So we got an algorithm where we are trying to do something somehow. So we invoke the capitalize method with an array, sexy, and then JavaScript, right? So what should this method return on an ideal world? Big words?
An array with those words.
Cool. I like the way Seb introduced it. An array of. Yeah, so he's already talking about types. Sexy JavaScript. That's the theory, right? That's at least what the algorithm tries to do. However, will it work or not? No. All right, let's have a look why. First of all, whenever you do a board challenge, the very first thing you should do, in my opinion, is to do literally that. Go to DevTools, play around with it, add breakpoints. This is what we are going to do today. So if I run the snippet, look, I got an array of two undefineds. Why two undefineds?
Because 2 elements is expected to be returned. The argument is passing 2 elements.
The argument is passing two elements.
Yeah.
The argument is passing two elements. Not sure if I got that. Why undefined on the first element and why undefined on the second element? What is map returning? It's not returning anything. That's the problem, right? So what can anyone describe what map does?
Transforms.
Transform what? Into what?
Transforms an array to your array.
Correct. That's super important. This is the most important method in React. Map takes an array, ABC, and returns another array of the same size. So if the original array has 3 elements, the output will be another array with 3 elements. In that particular case, our input is an array of 2 elements, so map will transform each individual element. So we need to add return here. Yeah? Will it work now or not?
No.
Why not?
Because the argument is the same as.
What happened with that argument? Words. Look, first of all, it really works. It really works. But what do you think from a human point of view about that argument name?
Nothing.
Word. I agree with Katerina. Word. Why? Because that will refer to each individual element on the array, each individual word on the list.
Doesn't it conflict that we have word?
It's a good point actually. It's a good point. There is no conflict. However, now on line number 5, if you wanted to access that variable, it wouldn't be possible because we are overrating the value here. That's why it's considered a bad practice. We shouldn't create new variables with the same name. That doesn't make sense, right? So that's the first problem. So we could call it Brexit. That will solve the conflict. Well, however, readability-wise, Word is probably the most appropriate name. Yeah? So now if I ask you a question, I'm going to add I'm going to try to add some breakpoints. You know the problem with breakpoints, as we explained last week, sometimes Google Chrome is unable to handle them. Unfortunately. Actually, let me move that to a new line. Yeah, maybe better now. Look, I got 3 breakpoints. So I'm going to ask you, I don't care if you don't participate because I'm going to ask you individually, right? So that's up to you. But I want you to tell me, guys, what's the execution order? That's vital to understand JavaScript flow. So does anyone want to participate first? Yeah, wait, Ahmed is going first. 8.
And then 3.
And then 4, like that?
Actually, 843.
8, 4, 3. All right, that's Ahmed. Anyone else has other opinion? Seb?
Just a question. In line number 5, should we have or not a semicolon?
There is no, okay, but this is a separate problem, Seb. I want one problem at a time. Let's ignore semicolons for now. I just want to see the execution order. So, Ed, you wanted to say something before, right?
I think 834.
8, 3, 4. All right? Anyone else? If you agree with either Ahmed or no, that's not Seb, that's Ed, you can say, yeah, I agree with whoever, and then I'll add you to the list.
I agree with that.
So, Jack agrees with Ed.
Yeah, I agree with Ed.
Oh. Wait. So, Ahmed, Esteban. Where are the girls today? I haven't heard any girl. Say again? Kelly said 8, 3, 4, 4. Right, who else? Sonia, Catherine, Faraj, Kiran, Kibon, Bilal. Wait, Catherine said it again?
The same line, Pedro. 8, 3, 4.
I say
Sonia?
8, 2.
Oh, 8-2, that's very exotic. There is no breakpoint on line number 2, Sonia. You can try if you want, right? If you want, I'll type it.
Alright.
Sonia says 8, -1, 2, and 9, and hello.
All
All
of that.
of that.
No, then I agree
With who?
Was it?
I don't know. You got 3 options.
8, 3, 4.
8, 3, 4. All right. So
Me, I go with 843.
8, 4, 3 for Bilal.
I think I think it's pulling it fast. 8, 3, 4, 4.
8, 3, 4, 4 for Faraj. Kiran, Kibon.
That's one, of course.
Kibon, what do you think?
Yeah,
You agree with Ed? Did I say that the first one answering the right sequence will get 2 points on the board challenge? So I'm missing only Kiran, I believe, right? Kiran, I think that's it. And Katerina, I don't get your. You agree with Kelly? Kiran, I think you are last. Eight, 4, 3. There are like 3. There are 3 blocks. Right. This is vital. This is vital, guys.
If it's 2 points, I'll take my answer back.
That's too late. You know that's too late. So remember what we said 2 minutes ago and 10 seconds. We said that map goes through every single element, stops and transforms it. How many elements do we have? How many times line number 4 will run? 2. That's it. And that means that Kelly, Faraj, and Katerina are right. And that means Kelly gets extra points on the board challenge. Let's prove it, because I may be wrong, in which case I should go back to, I don't know, doing plumbering or other career, right? So we start on line number 8. Cool. At least I tell you something, everyone agreed. We start on line number 8. That's good. Last week, some of you started messing around with, at least we agree that that's the first thing. So now, what will run first? 3 or 4? It's clearly 3, right? I mean, line number 4 won't run until we run map. So line number 3 will run first. So if we run it again, you see, we stop on line number 3. We can even highlight the variable names, all these sort of things, which is very convenient sometimes. And now look, pay attention. What's the first value of word? Can anyone tell me?
Sexy.
Sexy. Agree. You see? And the second one? Oh, it stopped twice. And the third one?
There are no.
There is no third iteration at all. In other words, as soon as I click on the blue button, that's it. Yeah? So that's the journey on using map. Yeah, very important method. If I were you, I will personally simplify this a bit. For instance, inlining the return statement. Remember what we explained this morning? Look, I move everything to the same line, I get rid of the semicolon, very important, and that's it. Even simpler, right? To me, that's my favorite flavor of this exercise. Any questions? No? Cool, that was relatively easy, but now let's have a look to intermediate. It's not that simple, guys. So first of all, let's invoke the function. So we got average with an array, as far as I remember, 3, 0, 5, and 7. From a human point of view, what's the average of 3, 5, and 7? 5, correct. So that should be the expected result. Will it work or not? No, clearly not, right? There are many things we should look after. So starting from the top, what's the first problem you can see? The arguments. What's wrong with the arguments? Right? Semantic. Okay, yeah, good point. Yeah, not against that. So what would you put here? Scores. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I like it. So let's rename it. Score to scores. Okay, what else? What's the next smelly thing? Ah, two number. What the hell is that, right? If I run the snippet, even though, here you go, it took a while. Two number is not defined. What is two number? No one knows, right? We know what do we want to know, what do we want to do, right? We want to transform a string representing a number into a pure number. That doesn't really work like that. There are different ways to do it. Of course, we can create a two-number function. So let's do that. Function two-number. What does it receive, guys? Scores in plural? Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure? 200% sure? This is a very British way to tell you are wrong, right? So, this is the equivalent of coming here. So this is what you are proposing, essentially. You see the problem? Remember, map, it goes through each individual element. So that's not the list of scores. What is that? Score in singular. Correct. Correct. So if we bring back the function to number, that should be score. And then return what? Score. Dot map. What type of data score is, guys? Wrong. It's a string. That's a string. If you find that syntax confusing, let's do something. Let's put it in line, because that's actually the same thing. This is what we are trying to do. So return what? Score what? To number. Do you make that up? To number. Does to number exist in JavaScript?
So it's score in bracket number.
Bracket number.
That is
Four.
Parenthesis.
Parenthesis.
Number.
Number.
No. As in score.
Yeah. Parenthesis.
Oh, no, sorry. Score dot map.
Dot map.
Parenthesis number.
But wait a minute. Map works with arrays. We don't have any array. Score is a string. Guys, a score is 5 on the first iteration. So how do we transform 5 as a string into 5 as a number? How many Jaeger bombs you had at lunchtime? We explained that 3 hours ago.
So maybe score in bracket number.
No.
Number dot score.
Number dot score. Like that. I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
Score in bracket parenthesis number.
Score parenthesis number. But what's a number?
No, I think it's number with uppercase,
Number.
parenthesis, score.
What do you think? Do you agree with Seb? Finally, thank you, Seb. Yeah. So that's the correct way to transform a string into a number. Yeah. We'll see how can we improve that a bit later on. But for now, I hope that will make the trick. And now let's focus on the complex part of the algorithm. Do you see any typos?
Yes.
Length, yeah? You see, it's TH, not HT. Nice one. Anything else?
Parenthesis.
Parentheses where?
Average and value.
Average and value.
After the reduce.
After reduce.
After the dot reduce.
After the dot reduce. Surrounding the arguments.
Yes.
That's a good point. That's true, actually. In JavaScript, if you have a single argument, one argument, you can remove the parentheses. Parentheses are optional. However, if you got more than one, like in this case, we have 2 arguments, we do need them. What else? From an elegance perspective, what will you change?
When we see semicolon.
Semicolon where? Which line?
After the curly braces at the end.
Here?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes. We're missing the initiator.
Well, okay, let's leave that for the end. Just talking about the styling from an elegance perspective. I can see at least 2 problems. Space where? What space?
Values plus scores.
All in one line. All right, so we can do that. Kelly? Yeah? I like that.
Return without the curly braces.
Curly braces where?
So I will start with average value and that curly brace next to the average.
Here? You want to do what? To remove it?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's remove it. Google Chrome doesn't seem very happy. So we need to get rid of return. Let me leave it there for now. Okay, this is not a styling issue. I'm asking about the styling issues, not about making sure it looks super performant and elegant. It's about semicolons, indentation. Is there any missing semicolon?
Yes. After the
Line number, please.
line number 9.
Line number 9. Here?
Yes.
Doesn't look very happy.
I'm thinking we need semicolon on line number 6.
Line number 6.
Oh,
No, look. No, because we semicolon means we are done. We aren't done here, right? Because we are chaining several actions. Which line number we need to add a semicolon? 10, that's correct, Kelly. So that's about the styling, yeah? And now, do you think the algorithm will return 5? Will it work, essentially? Let's run it. Oh, 7? Really? Is the average of 3 plus 5 plus 7 7? Probably not, right? That doesn't really make any sense. Why? Does anyone know?
Yeah, we're missing the issue.
Is it again?
We're missing the reduced issue.
Correct. The initial value of reduce. What should we put here, Ahmed? 0. Let's run it again, and then let's think about the reasons. Oh, you're right. So far this morning, we mentioned that the default value of the accumulator is optional, but that's not true on every single scenario. That's a good example. Let's do something. Now it works, right? We agree it works. So let's add some, let's debug it manually. You remember what we did this morning with the iteration, blah, blah, blah. Can you still see the screen? Hopefully you can. So iteration 1. What's the value of average? 0, correct? Because that's the default value, right? What's the value? 3. Return?
1 point something.
Why? Because average 0 plus value 3 divided by 3. So yes, it's 1 point something, 1.0 to be precise. Yeah? All right, so that's iteration number 1. And then on iteration number 2, what's the value of average?
1 point something.
1 point something. Why? Remember, the accumulator, in that case called average, always has the value we return on the previous iteration.
Wow.
Correct. We return 1 here, you see? So on the next iteration, it will be 1. What's the value?
Value is 5.
5, correct. Return what?
6. Return 3.
3. Why 3?
2.
Why 2?
3.
Keeps changing, right? Keeps changing. Okay, let's calculate it, guys. Return average 1 plus value 5 divided by 3. What's that actually? 9.
That's 6. Yeah, divided by 2.
It's not 2, guys. This is going back to school, right? When you were like 10 years old. So, does anyone remember how to perform this sort of basic calculations, right?
Yes.
So we can transform 1 into 3/3, and then 3/3 plus 5/3 is 8/3, which is 2 point something, right? Correct. Let's leave it as 8/3. All right, iteration number 3, which is the last one, by the way. Average. 8/3. Thank you, guys. Value? 7. Now return average, which is 8/3 plus 7 divided plus 7/3, essentially. Yeah, 8/3 plus 7/3 is 15/3. That magically, because of a
5.
great coincidence, that's 5. Yeah, that's the most elegant way, even though it may not be immediate, to get the average. Yeah. There is an alternative that could be get the total first and then divide it by the number of items. We can do that now if you want. But before doing that, let's see why it returned 7 before. You remember it returned 7, right? Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I'm going to remove the default value of the accumulator. And now, let's start again. Iteration 1. What's the average?
3.
Ooh. That was brave.
To say that
We don't have any default average, right? We don't. So if we don't have any default value, what's the default value?
3. First number.
That's correct. That's important. If we don't provide any default value, JavaScript will assign a default value anyways. Yeah? I'm sure everyone has that friend that when you go out and you don't drink anything that day, he or she drinks anyways. So that's reduce, right? Reduce will assign a value yes or yes. So average is 3. What's value? 3. Return 3 plus 3 divided by 2. What's 3 plus 3 divided by 2, guys? 3, 2. 4 point something. Let's calculate that. Let's normalize the expression. 3 divided by 2, so 3 is the same as 6 divided by 2. Yeah? 3 divided by 2 plus 3 divided by 2 equals 9 divided by 2, which is 4 point something. 4.5 to be precise, right? Right. Let's leave it like that for now. Iteration number 2. What's the average?
4.5.
Yeah? Value? 5. Return 9 divided by 2 plus 5 divided by 3. Right, let's try to calculate that. So to normalize that, so what are the 2? Which 2? These 2? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, that's a good question. Was it 3 instead of 2? No. Oh, wait. Maybe I did the wrong calculation. Let's roll it back. Yeah. So Kelly is right. Kelly spot a problem. Why divided by 2 here, guys? Divided by 3. Yes, thank you, Kelly. So 6 divided by 2 plus 3 divided by 3 is? Let me simplify it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Imagine that I have some balloons on my hand. 3 balloons in one hand, and I have 1 balloon on the other hand. How many balloons do I have? 4 balloons. Iteration number 2. Average. 4. Value? 5, correct. Return average, which is 4, plus value 5 divided by what? 3. It's course length. We got 3 elements, right? 4 plus 5/3 is the same as 12/3 plus 5/3, if I'm correct. Which is the same as what? 17/3 in theory, yeah? We'll see if that operation is correct in a minute. And then finally, iteration number 3. What's the value of average? Correct, 17 divided by 3. What's the value? 7, right. So now we got 17/3 plus 7 divided by 3, yeah? That should return 7. Let's see if that's true or not. That's the same as 17 plus 7, 24, divided by 3, which is 8, which is wrong. Yeah, so we divided by 2, really? Okay, that may have been the problem. Let's recap from the first iteration. Yeah? To me, that's the best way, right? We debug the problem together. That's the way you learn. And again, iteration number 1. Average was free, right. Value was free, right. Return, free plus free divided, no, that was correct. Free plus free divided by free, is 3 plus 1, right? So it's 4. So iteration 1,
In the beginning, that's also divided by 2 somewhere.
6 divided by 2.
why 6 divided by 2? Scores of length is 3. But I know where the problem is. I found it. And I think Esteban found it as well. Look, and that was my mistake. I was tempted to say that I did that on purpose, but that's not true. That's the problem. Why? Because as we are taking the default value of the accumulator, 3, the value won't be the first element of the array anymore. Will be the second. Yeah, it will be the second. That's why that's wrong. Otherwise, both the average and the value will be the same. That doesn't really make sense. When we don't provide any default value, average will be the first, 3, but value will be the second, 5. Yeah? And then return what? Let's calculate that again. 3 plus 5 divided by what? By 3, correct. And what is that? So this is 9/3 plus 5/3, 14/3. Does it make sense? All right, and then iteration number 2. Average 14/3, value. Oh. So 14/3 plus 7/3. That looks much better, right? Because that's 21/3. That is what? 7. Yeah. So now, at least we've been able to understand the algorithm. Why return 7, which is wrong. And I hope you agree why it's wrong. Because we are not providing any default value. So the iteration 1 is wrong already. It's wrong. So let me ask you something. If I add, look at the breakpoints. So now you tell me the execution order. Yep, breakpoints. Ooh. Who is first? Jack is first.
14 first.
14, then what?
3.
Yeah?
Then 5.
Yeah?
No, I couldn't see. And then 8 will be
3, 5, 8.
it'll be 8 3 times. So 8, 8, 8.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Alright, so that's Jack's proposal. Anyone else? Esteban? Yeah?
3,
Yeah?
5 3 times,
And then what?
8 3 times.
Oh. Yeah, anyone else? So Farage. Doesn't look right, Jack. Is anyone supporting Jack? Any other opinion?
Just a minute. 14 is first and 3 is second.
Does anyone disagree with Esteban? I'll take that as a no, because Esteban is right. Look, 14, 3, Oh, we have an array of 3 elements, so map will run how many times? 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now, time to go to reduce. 1, 2, and 3. And that's it.
The average are there.
Yeah?
The average that we were trying to calculate is already there, showing us there.
Yeah? Yeah? And now, one of my last questions of the day and the week. I'm going to repeat the same thing, removing the default value. Same lines, breakpoints. Who wants to join Kelly and Esteban on the extra points for the highly appreciated board challenge?
What was the question?
Same thing. The question is the same all the time, right? Execution order.
I think
Seb?
it will happen the same for
So 14,
3
3,
times 5,
yeah?
3 times 7.
Okay. That's. Do you agree with Seb? Do you disagree with Seb?
Okay, 14.
So this is Ahmed. 14,
And then 3.
yeah?
And then 4.
4.
5, I mean 5, sorry. 3 times.
Are you going to say the same as.
8 3 times.
Right, so essentially the same as Seb, right? That means you didn't pay attention to what he said.
Let me just try and throw a spanner.
Yeah, Ed?
14.
Yeah?
3.
Yeah?
555.
Yeah?
And then 8 twice.
Interesting.
Okay.
Any other?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Oh my god, you removed the initiator. You tricked us.
Right.
Yeah, look at line 11, you removed 0. That's how you made a change. Yeah, but that was 7.
Right. Do you agree with?
I agree with it.
Right. He won at table tennis today, right? You need to agree with him. There is no chance to disagree. Ed is actually right.
2 points.
14, 3, 5, 5, 5. On the previous question, the one that Esteban solved, how many times we stop on line number 8? 3 times. However, look, average is 3 and value is 5. We are skipping the first iteration, you see? That's the side effect of removing the default value. We remove one iteration as well. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful. And then that's the second time, and it won't stop anymore. That's it. That's it. So Ed is essentially right. Yeah. And I mean, I'll tell you something. From my point of view, that's okay. I will simplify that a bit. How? First of all, as you can expect, by removing curly brackets. That's the first thing, of course. Then, can we move that to the same line? Maybe, right? Let's try and see how it looks like. Let's see how it looks like. And then, so something like that, right? I think it's readable enough. Let's see if it works. Again, every time you change something, run it again. Remember, we need to add the default value, right? Otherwise, I hope we understood it won't work. It still works, returns 5. I'll give you a hint. There is a way to simplify that line. On expert training, you need to type that line thousands of times. Look, instead of having that, you can do this. Yeah, that's the same. Still returning 5. Why? Because back to the original proposal of Gray, I think he called it 2-number. That's the same as creating a 2-number function and return number score. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. Yeah? So the question is whether we drop this function as a separate one or whether we essentially put it inline here. Yeah? That's up to you. It depends on your appetite. I personally like to leave it inline unless I need to type a lot. But in that particular case, I see no advantage of creating a new function to do something that comes built in with JavaScript pretty much. Yeah? So go for it.
The only reason we have map there is just to change string into number.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. Because we want to transform a string into number. What happens if we don't want to do that? Will it work? Oh, you're wrong. You are wrong, guys. Why? The reason is, look at the bottom of my screen. If I type 3 plus 5, it returns 8, no problem at all. But what happens if I type 3 as a string plus 5 as a string? It doesn't really work neither. Yeah? So then why this works? So the thing is, that's controversial. Depending on the operation, JavaScript will understand what do we want to do, and then it will try its best to deal with numbers as strings. So in some cases, if we, for instance, take a string and divide it by a number, look, this is pretty much what we are doing, you see? So 3 plus 5 doesn't work. Doesn't work, right? Doesn't work. However, 3 plus 5 divided by 1, like that, it doesn't work neither. But essentially, eventually, we'll find a scenario where that may work. You see? Well, that's not even expected. But anyway, the message is, that's confusing. That's confusing. So never try to perform mathematical operations with strings, because they may work as expected, but they may not. So then what do? We do that. First of all, make sure we deal with numbers, and then we'll see. But first of all, convert everything to numbers. However, can we convert to number on the reduce function straight away? You don't think so? Can we do that, guys? Will this work? Of course it will work. Okay? So that's the same thing. That's the same thing. Which one do you prefer? This one? Dot map. Yeah, dot map feels clever, right? Like, first of all, convert to numbers. It's like one step after the other, right? But technically speaking, that's okay. It works. If we had to do that because of whatever reason, in reality, I will do something like that. You remember what we explained this morning? Convert to pure numbers, and then it still works. So even though that approach is better, I would say that the only scenario where I will prefer that one, this is a bit tricky, is on performance, thinking about performance. Why? Because at the moment, with map, how many times do we have to loop? 3 times. Yeah, okay, okay, yeah. So we go through 6 iterations, but what I mean is, we have 2 loops. Here, map, we need to go on through the array. Reduce, go through the array again. So we need to loop twice. In mathematics, we say that the cost of this algorithm is 2n. 2n. N means goes through the loop once. Yeah? Say again? Cycles. Correct. 2 cycles. If we do that, how many cycles do we have? What's the cost of this algorithm now? Wrong. It's 1. So now it's more performant. We've reduced the cost of executing the algorithm. So technically speaking, this is slightly more performant, but be careful. To me, that improvement only makes sense if your array has 1 million elements, where the performance can make the difference. And even in that particular case, you should ask yourself, why are we dealing with an array of 1 million elements? Maybe there is something wrong somewhere, right? But anyway, performance. Ignoring performance, you know that sentence, very famous in computer programming, that says, early optimization is premature optimization is the root of all evil. So that sentence comes from one of the fathers of computing, but that's absolutely true. What that means is, it's fantastic to try to be super performant, try to be, Formula One style, we try to beat the chrono, all these things, right? But in reality, if that's your main concern, eventually you'll end up having a piece of code that is hard to understand, hard to maintain, because you had to sacrifice the readability of the code just to make it a bit more performant. Yeah. So to me, optimization shouldn't be, unless there is a very strong reason, the main source of problems or focus. Yeah. I remember a story in 2016 when I was working for HSBC. They had a multi-billion trading app that took 20 seconds to render. Whenever you refresh the page, traders needed 20 seconds to start trading. Yeah? So they had a big performance issue. I managed to reduce it to 10.5, almost 50%. So to do that, obviously, we had to do these tricks, because the company may save billions by saving 10 seconds of a trader every time they refresh the page. Yeah? But again, that's probably not the average scenario, and that's not something we should look after that often. Right, guys, anything else?
Yes, and can we see the first burning challenge, but because I had problems not when it was already okay, but to debug it
Yeah.
when it was still wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Show it to me, and we'll have a look together.
Okay.
Prepare it and let me know.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that was it, guys. Just one more thing. While you were playing ping pong, I changed a couple of things on the platform. So if you now go to, if now you go to best workshops, probably you notice we got like 60 workshops. So there was a lot of content. We were vomiting many content. So now when you click on it, you can check workshops across different categories, right? So if you click, for instance, on React, so you get, this is work in progress, we'll add more. But I hope you agree that now this is easier to maintain, right? Same for the UI. You can focus on box sizing, namespacing, positioning, specificity, flex, grid, all these sort of things, right? Again, any feedback is welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Conflicts.
Yes. Yes. Give me a second. Let me stop recording. Thank you, guys.